One fist at the front on the Dan Chen and the other fist at the back over the Ming Men. And just try and relax the shoulders. This is the center of my spine. What's beneath this point is relaxing downwards. And what's above this point is relaxing upwards. Feeling as though my legs have come up and are attaching at this point on the spine. So what's beneath this point can just hang loosely, suspended from here. For that, I really have to relax the sacroiliacs. So the place where my leg, which is effectively includes the hip, so those points where the hip bones join the sacrum, just want that to be really relaxed. So you're like a seed in the ground. So when it starts to germinate, it sends roots down, or a root, and a shoot upwards. So this is the spine. You've got the lower spine from here down, which is like the root trying to find the depths of the earth, and then the part above here, which is the shoot that wants to come out and find the sun. And now I want to do the breathing exercise, but without the arms, keeping the hands here. Because when we do this with the arms, then everything tends to come into the hands, because we're so used to concentrating and being aware of what our hands and our arms are doing. We want the awareness to be here in the Dan Chen Ming Men. So if you keep your fists here and contract the belly and let that pull the belly in and bow your spine. So the tail is coming under a little and the head is coming over. And now just feel the point on the back, the Ming Men. You want that to tighten, like it's got a set of muscles the same as the belly has. So you tighten the back and it pulls you backwards. Now my tail is sticking back a little bit and my head is rearing back. And then I tense the belly. And then I tense the back. And as you continue, the two sets of muscles, front and back, bind together so that as one set tightens and contracts, it stretches the other set and stimulates them to start contracting. And so you get this alternating action that is very organic and very natural. So here I'm tightening the belly. These muscles are getting shorter and pulling me over, but it's also stretching the Ming Men area. And then that wants to pull back. It's an organic machine. Feel this point should feel really strong and dominant. And just bring the arms out into ward off. So this is your center. It's attracting every part of you. It's a gravitational center. Every cell in your body is being sucked towards your belly. And that allows spirit to come into the body. So the spirit will always try and blow things apart. It gives activity, and then things want to flee the center. So you have to have this strong centripetal gravitational pull to allow spirit to come in. Otherwise, when the spirit comes in, it will just blow the thing apart. And now just go down and bring it up. I'm consuming the ground. It's like I'm hugging the ground. So I have to feel the legs. So I'm bending the legs, but very much by getting my knees to go outwards. And then I just bring the legs up, but without separating from the ground. Here my legs are bending to take me down, and here my legs are straightening. So I'm playing with gravity. I'm teasing it. I'm not fighting it. And just imagine that you're scooping like some water from a pool and just bringing it into your belly. So have a visualization. And we just want to go down at least to thighs parallel to the ground and feel what needs to happen in my back. I don't want keeping my bum in to inhibit my sinking. So I go down. There comes a point where you have to stick the bum out to go down any further. I want to just allow that and just feel as though it's a very natural thing. There's nothing stopping it. So here I'm going down and I'm basically going into a squat. And then I can scoop and bring it up. So you should be able to just keep the gaze, look at yourself in the screen. And now just turning. Let's just go side to side first. So one leg is bending, one leg is straightening. So the leg that's got the weight in it is the passive one, the support, and the leg that's without the weight is the one that's moving me. It's the active leg. This is what I want to feel. This is becoming more and more passive. It's trying to stop me from moving effectively. And this one is trying to keep me moving. And then this one pulls. And as it fills up, it's becoming passive. And this one is becoming active. So the active phase is a straightening followed by a bending. And all the time on the active phase, my weight is in the other leg predominantly. I straighten this leg and then I bend it and that starts me moving. I straighten this leg and then I bend it. And now the turning, but it's the same thing. Instead of moving side to side, I'm doing the same action with the legs, but I'm using it to turn myself. So this supporting leg just has to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more forceful. Because if I just push with this leg, then I will move into this leg and move in this direction. I want to prevent that movement. I want to force that movement side to side to become a turn. So this leg has to start pushing, prevent me from moving side to side. And it's the same as the breathing that we did. So when we were breathing like this from here, we're connecting the two muscles, front and back. Here I'm connecting the two legs. I want to feel that as one is becoming an extreme of passive, the other one is becoming an extreme of active. So they're very much bound up in one system, but I very much feel them as two things. If I felt them as one thing, then they would both be doing the same thing. But they're not. They're doing opposite things all the time. So this is straightening, this is holding, this is bending to move me, and then this is holding and this is straightening. Feel the change. Tai Chi is all about change. Taoism is all about change. The I Ching, the book of changes. So full and empty. One side is full, one side is empty, and then it changes. So this is what we have to get used to, is not being one thing, changing all the time. And it's difficult because we like to be sure. The mind likes to know and to be sure. And that requires me just to be one thing. But here I'm just alternating all the time. I'm turning. And that's changing one side from active to passive and then back to active again. And then just let it go and let one hand reach behind to the Ming Men and the other hand stay in front opposite your Dan Chen. And we just have to keep relaxing, 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 so that these two phases, these alternating phases, can remain separate from each other. If I lock them all up into too much like a mechanical machine, then there's no play. There's no play in the system, and there's no spirit. There's no chance for spirit. It's a delicate business, keeping the system alive. The mind wants to kill it and just turn it into a mechanical machine. The spirit wants to keep it alive and use it to generate more spirit, or use it to take me on a journey into the unknown. This is what spirit does. Without spirit, there's no progress effectively. There's no real movement. All the movement without spirit is simply what I call rearranging the furniture, which is what most people's lives are. Try and really grab at the Ming Men. Imagine you've got all these sort of threads of energy or filaments coming out of your Ming Men, and you grab like this, and then give it a good tug when the hand comes away. So in one sense, is all we're doing is just drawing energy out of the Ming Men and bringing it round to the Dan Chen. So we've got this constant figure of 8 going on in the hips. I grab my Ming Men and then I pull it around and I pack it into the Dan Chen. Make sure the shoulders remain relaxed. Yeah, so we really have to look at our visualizations. If you're too visual, if you're seeing things too much as pictures, then it just becomes sort of tense. It's a feeling. It's like a sort of a nuance. It's subtle, our visualizations. They're there and then they've gone. They're there and then they've gone. And then back to riding horse. Just feel this center. As soon as I think to myself, or even as soon as I consider myself, as soon as I look at myself and what I'm doing, there is a heaviness that starts to develop here, which crushes the spine a little bit. So from the Ming Men up, that bottom few vertebrae from the Ming Men up has to really loosen and lighten. as soon as I start thinking to myself, that's where it seems to crush here in the upper body. In the upper spine seems to collapse like this, but really it's down here. I pack too heavily. I want to really loosen and expand, lengthen this part of my spine with my lightness, my cheerfulness. As John would say, you're too interested. You're too in love with life to be in love with yourself. So it can't turn back on you. And now, the full and empty. But this is exactly the same. I'm coming forwards. My leg has to support me, but it also has to maintain a certain degree of openness so that the energy can come up. If I get too tight here, it will block the energy flow. So as I come forwards, the energy comes up from the ground. This is what I want to feel, is the rising as a consequence of filling. I'm filling from the ground. I'm not filling with myself from above. As I bring my weight into the leg, the ground comes up into me. And I want that to come up all the way to the heart. And for that, I need to really straighten the back leg. So we're so used to associating the supporting phase with the work phase. So here it feels like, okay, this leg is doing the work. This leg is having to be strong to hold me up. But what I want to feel is that this is like a passive work. It's just holding a situation. This is the leg that's actually stimulating the energy. So it's the straightening of this leg where the real work is. And then the same thing here. This has now become strong, but passively so. It's trying to keep me still. It's trying to stop me from falling down. This straightening leg is where the real spirit is. There's passive strength in the full leg, and there's active strength or activity really in the empty leg. This is what I just have to get my mind around. If I only have the passive strength here, the supporting strength, and I'm not aware of the active strength that's potentially in this leg, then I only have half of the picture. And there'll be a sense of leakage, a sense that your energy, some aspects of your energy is dribbling away. You need both components to keep the system tight and springy and elastic and juicy. And feel it in the spirit. Yeah, so you've got an aspect of spirit here, which is like supporting and holding. You know, if you had to hold an object that was really heavy, then after a while, you'd start to get really tired. And that's when you'd feel the spirit involved in that holding. But then you've got the spirit here, which is very much an extending spirit. And so something here is really holding, but something here is charging out. These two have to be there. So part of me is strong here, just holding, bloody-minded, and part of me is almost trying to escape in this direction. And then same thing here. And now the cross energy. Same thing. Legs are exactly the same. But now I want it to come into the opposite arm. This just makes it a bit more real because you can feel just how loose you have to remain across the sacrum to get the energy really expressing in the opposite arm. It's not enough just to rear my spine and bring it up into my heart. I have to remain relaxed across here so that I can remain relaxed across the shoulders so the energy can jump across from the spine and into the arm. So 1, so just try and be aware of that distance from the spine to the shoulder. So as I sink into the back leg, something has to pop across there, like my shoulder blade has to come away from my spine. So don't think about the hand. Feel the energy coming up the spine and then pops across the shoulder. So if I can, I try and feel the whole pathway. Make sure that whole pathway is clear. And now the figure of 8 through here and out of the Ming Men. Feeling the pathway. So you don't just see it, you have to feel it. So what do I have to do with my mind to make this visualization a reality? That's the imagination. So here something has to really open, and then it can close again as I come back to the front, and then it opens. So I have to not trace the figure of 8 with my weight. I'm not doing this. I'm not moving my weight around. It's the mind. I turn, and something in my mind has to intensify and intend, squeeze, fire up to get this loop going around here. And then it subsides as I come back to the front. And then again here, something opens up, something closes down. So the figure of 8 is really just two connected bubbles. And I have to expand inside to open the bubble up. And then it encloses. It's like these two arms go out and connect here, and then the bubble is complete. And then I can do the other side. And now the same thing, but with 1 foot forwards. I'm still getting the figure of 8 to go around my feet. And then I just use it to step. Let's try the other foot. So first, just looping. It's like you're throwing a lasso around each foot. You're capturing, especially when you use this to walk. And then stepping, which is the beginning of walking. 1, 2, 1, 2. Imagine you're walking on this terrain of large stones, of boulders, and you're having to sort of step from rock to rock. So there's a sense when you do that, especially if you have to do it quickly, if you're under pressure, there's a sense that you are lassoing, your mind is actually capturing that rock in order to make sure that you hit it properly. This is what we want in our stepping. It's very much not just powering yourself from a leg and then sort of landing somewhere on the other leg. You really have to have your mind on the place where you're going to put your foot. I've captured this point here with my mind, but it's with my mind that's associated with my leg. In the same way as if I was like picking fruit or something, my mind will be with the hand that was reaching out and taking that apple or that blackberry and plucking it off the bush. So here it's the same sort of mind, but a mind with the leg. So here I'm going around this foot, and then it catches that piece of ground, and then I catch this one again. So it's a spirited use of the mind. It's sprightly, it's lively. And what makes it all the more lively is that potential danger. You could fall and twist your ankle. So I capture, I capture, I capture. And this is walking, basically. So what we want, and it's difficult because our habits are so ingrained, they run so deep. We're so used to thinking about other things when we're walking. The walk is a chore that's getting me from A to B, from the air-conditioned apartment into the air-conditioned car. And part of me is irritated that I'm having to sweat a little bit. But I'm just trying to be productive. I'm trying to use that time. So I worry. And so if we walk properly, then it's this weaving figure of eight all the time. I'm going from this foot to this foot to this foot, but each foot is catching the ground. It's very gentle. It's softly taking the ground. So when you're walking properly, no one should hear you. And the ground is not being abused. It's you're kissing the ground with your foot. So my foot goes down, and as it hits the ground, there's a sense that I'm pulling it away. The same as if you kiss someone. If you kiss someone, you bring your lips towards them, but at the point of contact, you have to pull away a little bit, otherwise it's going to clash. It's the same thing. I put my foot down, but then I grab, I pull towards me. So when we're walking, especially when you're walking in nature, this should be how you're doing it. If you're gentle with nature, then nature will reveal itself. You'll see things, you'll notice things, you'll be amenable in a way that you're normally not. So I softly, softly take the ground. And we need to practice it like this, slowly, deliberately, really exaggerating everything before we can even consider doing it at normal walking speed in such a way that no one really notices that we're doing anything different. So I have to be able to really control the descent of my foot. For that, I need my balance. I need to be balanced in the leg that's supporting me. So what will work against this is this sense of falling into the leg as you're walking, which is what we normally do. So when we reach forwards and grab the ground, especially when we're moving a bit more sprightly, then there's a sense of that. There's a sense that I've caught the ground, but it's not with my weight. It's with my spirit. I catch the ground and then I'm there. So when you're really spirited, you're weightless, you're floating. There's a sense that you're just hovering over the ground rather than actually touching it. Okay, so let's bring it back. And now bringing it up and instantly working from the ground, making puddings. So it's effectively just the figure of eight exercise. And because we've got the legs gyrating with it, it really brings it into this area. So it just develops a waist. So it's not just a turning waist. It's a waist where the two sides are always moving against each other. So 1, 2. So it's tipping from side to side. There's real squeezy, wriggly action in my lower back and my belly region. And it all works to keep the heart buoyant. A sense that something is just bubbling and bouncing up and down. and then just subside. And bring it down and back. You just feel that movement, ooh, it's always there. You almost feel a little bit drunk. Save a bit of money, wouldn't it? If we could just do this and be intoxicated at the end of it. And so when we work properly, then the spirit gets activated. That will take us into heightened awareness. We'll just be more aware, more conscious, more alive, more loving in the sense of being connected to everything. But there's also a sense that that spirited impetus, that there's a sort of irritation to it. It just wants to shed all the shit that's you and just leap out and just be so fresh and strange that it would kill you. You know, it would be like a suicide almost. But that's the feeling, like something inside is just is not satisfied with the way you are. And so without that, there's no progress. So the progress happens not because I'm sort of working hard and gradually getting stronger and stronger, but because I'm working and activating the spirit, and that's just dissatisfied with what's there and what's gone before. And so it will just naturally shed and drop things, let you and your past and your conditioning just fall away so that it can just express and become something amazing. This is what happens, but you have to activate the spirit. This is the important thing. Every time you practice, something should come alive. What John used to say was, every time you practice, by the time you finish the practice, you should really feel, I'm so glad I practiced, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have discovered this amazing little thing. It can be just a tiny little thing that you find. But each time you practice, you uncover something new. So without that, you're just consolidating your sameness, consolidating your past. And that's the last thing we want, because everything else in our lives does that. It's like, I remember when I was a kid and I went camping with a friend. I was 11. So 10 days, we walked like 150 miles in 10 days. But when I came back, I remember walking back from the bus station and I met my mother. She was sort of just in the neighborhood. And she said when she saw me coming towards, she literally didn't recognize me. She says, "You're a different person. You've grown up." So those are the sorts of experiences, those experiences that you choose them, but then when it comes to it, you think, "Oh, I wish I hadn't chosen to do that. I'm scared." So without taking a risk, this is the way John would put it, without risk, there's no movement in the sense of you moving into your own progress.